We got to talk about Bim.
Yeah, there's so many,
Ponda Baba.
there's so many dudes, so many little fellas out there in the Star Wars universe that are underrepresented.
And I think we, like, do we just bring it up?
What?
The thing we were talking about before recording?
Oh, Kanye?
Yeah. Dean, welcome to Hate Speech. I don't know if this is going to make it or not. Either way, have you listened to the new Kanye stuff?
I mean, we normally have it playing at work, but
Like
not.
the new album playing at work?
I have heard it against my will, but out of curiosity, I have heard it, and I've never heard a song sound more divorced. Like, it's shocking. It should be like mandatory for people that are like in a child custody hearing, and I've just absolutely just gone off and lost their minds on various drugs, and it's incredible. Just completely off meds.
Hey, what do you think? What do you think of that?
Oh, hot. Ah, good.
Dean, can you see the screen?
Can you see this pornography? This Twi'lek pornography?
Let me zoom. Look. Oh yeah,
Just
yeah. I can see that. That's actually my wallpaper.
what's
I've got that on my computer.
let's do a little quiz. What are the little things on their heads called?
Twills? No.
They're lecus.
They are lecus.
God damn it.
Now, would you like to see some pornography where they're putting their leku in other people?
Yes.
I'm not. We're not just going to be on here looking at pornography.
The Hate Speech pornography review.
As much as I want to, we need to get back to what's really important. Kanye.
Kanye, yes.
So I was listening to WW3 because I was like, I've heard about the song where he sucks his cousin's dick. I've heard about the Heil Hitler song.
Oh, yeah?
I've not heard Heil Hitler, but I've heard I sucked my cousin's dick.
Yeah.
By the way, don't clip that out, anyone. And I've also heard
that you did that.
I sucked my neighbor's dick. It was against my will. I was a child, okay? So was he. It wasn't good. None of it was good. Why? She wants to hop in the Rari.
Entrapment. Where were you going?
My point was, hearing Kanye West call himself the hard R N-word was probably the most, like, as you were saying,
it sounded racist.
It's racist when he does it, and I don't understand it. I'm trying to understand from an anthropological kind of view. Like, what happened to this guy? Is it just divorce and nitrous?
Well, I mean, I think like the real slide in his mental state. I mean, I'm not a Kanye historian, but I think it was around when his mom died, and that was like really when you started to see, you started to really see stuff go off.
I was going to ask, do either of you know how his mom died?
No. So was his mom's name Donda?
Yeah.
Okay. How did Donda die?
She died in the middle of a cosmetic plastic surgery.
Hey.
Yep. As she was vaxxed.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So I bring up Kanye for one reason. His music's cool and he's good, and I agree with everything he's saying.
Okay, perfect. Welcome to Hate Speech.
Let's have a chat about hate.
Got the purple on the talk about it, let it boil over, blow the top, call this hate and speech. Hate speech, you know you can't hold it in no more. You are only as great as what you hate. Once the taste is on your tongue, you'll only crave.
Welcome to Hate Speech, a podcast about hating things and loving Kanye West, or as I call him, Ye.
Yeah.
I'm Tyler. Over there is Nate.
That's right.
Joining us today in our loving of Kanye. I'm just kidding. I gotta let it go. Joining us today is our friend Dean. Welcome, Dean, to Hate Speech. How are you doing? What is going on? Do you like Kanye West?
honestly, Gold Digger still bangs, but no.
Yeah.
No, it's just the thing where it's you know, there's people that should be on medication, and I know that, you know, that RFK doesn't want that, but because he really loves Kanye West and wants more of his music out. But
Can I propose something?
I disagree.
I think that Kanye West should work with George Lucas.
Wow.
Because George Lucas, he's a good concept guy, but Kanye is I think Kanye is a good musician. I think the music he makes is still hits.
Yeah.
It's just the things that he's talking about recently. I don't know if I can get behind that. But his beats are still kind of sick.
Yeah.
Well, here's a dirty secret. Kanye didn't write that song. That was somebody else actually did the lyrics for that song. That is not a joke. I learned that today.
Cool.
He can't even be racist, right? God damn it.
Nobody
wants to work anymore, even Kanye West.
He has to outsource his racism, much like George Lucas.
Wow, we got there. See, I was going to try be like, oh, here's a cultural thing that's slowly slid to the right and now has sort of become this monoculture of hate.
That also works.
That works. But yeah, that was a good one.
I mean, so let's pour one out for before we even get into our topic of the day, Star Wars commentators.
Star Wars commentators. And the greater Star, this is a big thing.
Yeah, it's gonna bleed out into other Star Wars things. But I wanna put my defense out for Ahmed Best. Let's pour one out to a real one. The voice, not the voice, actually.
The voice and the body.
He did the voice?
Yeah,
I thought he
did
just did the body.
No.
So he did the patois Jar Jar Binks voice. Tyler, you said you had a good impersonation of Jar Jar.
Yeah, everything gonna be Irie.
Okay, good. It's good.
This is the episode that I shouldn't be. Sorry, I made you watch that Meet Joe Black clip. I'm sorry.
Of course. No be a sister, no devil, no dopey. Everything gonna be Irie.
You going to be all right, Mama?
Go with the doctor, lady. Mom gonna be fine now. Don't leave.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Is that it's a real accent that comes from a real community in a real country, and it's not racist.
This is your defense?
I'm just saying, patois it's a accent that exists in a country. It's only racist when it comes out of Jar Jar Binks.
Or I guess me just now, huh?
Yeah, well, listen. There's some race problems in Star Wars.
What?
I don't know if you know this.
Okay, here's the thing.
Yes.
I thought that was just how Gungans talk.
Oh.
It's only racist if you think that's how, non-white people talk.
Okay,
if you think Watto is racist, that says more about you than it does me.
Maybe,
because
actually.
I have never met a Middle Eastern, probably Israeli shopkeep. So I don't have the experience to say Watto's racist.
I think that the idea of using Gungan face has really in the early 2000s. That's just passé now. You can't do that, and you can't get away with Gungan face.
Yeah, at the time it was fine. everyone was doing it, but
I'm walking around peeing in people's coke, talking about the Trade Federation. Jesus Christ.
Edge Sith Lord.
Well, it was okay. So for a little bit of research for this episode, I wanted to bring myself up to date on what Star Wars is, because I think like a lot of people, the only modern exposure to Star Wars past the new trilogy is Andor
or The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay.
Grogu is a cultural phenomenon.
Grogu's a thing, right? But I wanted to see okay, what else is out there, right? And so I watched the first episode of The Acolyte. Wasn't bad. Given the crowd reception to it, I was like, this is fine. I don't hate it. I definitely looked at my phone during a couple of scenes, but that's a lot of television these days.
Yeah.
But the thing that threw me off was, so what are the name of the Trade Federation people?
Newt Gunray.
Yeah, what's a Newt Gunray race?
God, we looked this up.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, fuck.
Anyways, the
Nemoidians.
Nemoidians,
because that Lucas has a thing that he always kind of to take passive aggressive digs at Star Trek. So they were literally named after Leonard Nimoy.
Oh God!
Jesus Christ!
That's very funny though.
George Lucas is a genius.
I kind of like that, but much, a lot of people at the time didn't like the accent. I don't support the Nemoidian accent.
I mean, as a child, I didn't really know that. When I saw this as a kid in the movie theater, I didn't know I was watching something severely racist,
Yeah. Look, so like in the Acolyte, they have Nemoidians. They're hanging around, but they have the Midwestern.
They drop the accent.
Yeah. What's the
Mid-Atlantic?
Yes, they had a Mid-Atlantic accent. It was like, oh look, all these Jedi are here.
I think there probably was some discussion if they should go like an Aquafina accent, but they decided against it, and they're like, let's make.
What is you talking about, Darth Plagueis?
Right. Well,
right.
My response would be like, just not have Nemoidians. We don't need to have them. There's so many other nasty freaks out in the Star Wars universe that you could bring back.
Yeah, bring back the Aqualish. Ponda Baba, my boy.
So,
testicle face.
Yeah.
Arm cut off.
Right. That's
what
right.
a guy.
Look up these aliens as we mentioned them.
Nate last night was laughing so hard he was crying because he showed me an alien called Bim, B-I-M-M, which was just a little person named Bim.
It's just a little person. He looked a little gruff, you know.
It's like someone took Tyrion Lannister and was like, that's an alien. It's called a Bim.
Right. What if there was a little person that was like, I don't know, like a rough 60? That's an alien now. But like,
well, I mean, that I mean that like before, like, you know, we're gonna get into like talking a bit more about like the current culture of Star Wars, but like back in the day, I mean, I think we're kind of in the same generational age group. Back in the day, that kind of stuff of piecing out every single little like weird guy that's in the background was just the realm of like nerds that are like, hey, I play D&D and I like and I'm gonna come up with a whole story about this little fella that has tentacles off the top of his head. Or whatever.
Dean, could you give us your history with Star Wars? Like,
how did you do that? Huh?
How did you come to Star Wars, and why did you bring this topic to us?
Well, I've never seen a Star Wars. No,
okay,
he was reading a lot of wikis last
night. Just Wikipedia.
Yep.
No, my exposure to Star Wars was hand in hand with my exposure to Raiders of the Lost Ark. I would my family frequently would spend time with another family, and I was the youngest of everybody, so I would just be kind of left alone in the basement to watch movies. And at that time, it was laser discs. It was the big flat laser discs that would feed in, and I must have watched A New Hope probably, I don't know, 60 times as a kid, as like a 5 to 8 year old. And then, learned about these other movies. And I was like, oh, great. And get them on VHS. So in the 80s, my consumption of Star Wars was, through VHS and things like that. But I mean, I think all three of us are well invested in our various fandoms. We're of the generation of like, if we can be kids again and enjoy our toys, we can. And now we have some disposable income so we can enjoy it. But
it's part of the fossil record of elder millennials / like younger millennials, let's just say that. Like if you were at some other kid's house, a stranger kid's house or a cousin's house, you know that you could just talk about Star Wars and be fine. It it was common ground for every young boy.
Yeah. And I mean, as we aged, we found other things to entertain us, to, attach our love and appreciation for in art. But I mean, for some people, they never let go of that.
Yeah.
It is their childhood, and they cannot let it go. It's like religion. That's one thing that I think I've found through doing research and over time now. There's some people that Star Wars, and this is actually true in England apparently, it's a religion. So like you introduce new things, they're like, no. That's heretical. You are, if this was the medieval times, I would go to your house and burn it down. It's a thing where I think part of the new generation that is really like, oh, the prequels are great, that everything that comes out of Star Wars is great. A lot of that spawned right around between 2012 and 2014 when Disney bought Star Wars from George Lucas for $4 billion. And all of a sudden, all of these think pieces popped up that were like, you know what? The first three, episode 1, 2, and 3 are actually, you know what? I know you say they suck, and plenty of people have said they suck, but they're actually genius. That's how awesome they are. Ring theory was the big thing that came out. The hidden artistry of the Star Wars prequels that came out October 31st, 2014 by a guy named Mike Klimo. And it's
like
just
the Ring
horseshit.
Wait, so like Ring theory as in the Ring trilogy? Like the German opera?
Was ist, ihr Glatten, das dort so glänzt?
Well, I don't think you're that far off. Actually, a lot of it is the idea that it's all built on the monomyth, and Lucas had all of this planned out, and it's all self-referencing. And if you look at the cycle of yada yada, and it's just, Lucas was a capitalist with a capital C. He's like, I need to make money. How do I maximize my profits?
Well, he's also like a big nostalgia guy himself, right? Like, he made American Graffiti,
absolutely.
which is like nostalgia for his childhood.
Yes.
And like even the Star Wars movies, they're just nostalgia for
Kurosawa movies.
Well, the Kurosawa movies, but also like the why am I farting on the cereal that this whole entire series is based on? I want to say,
I think like Buck Rogers.
Yeah, yes. Like, these kind of like theater newsreel serials, right? Of like, that's what the Nemoidians were based off of, like Yellow Panic stuff, right? He just remembered like, oh yeah, there was like the Mandarin was there and he was causing trouble.
That General Tojo's at it again.
Right. And so like, that's how you get a Nemoidian. I don't think he was purposely being racist because he hates Asian people. He was just like, looking for stuff to mine from his childhood, and like, well, the evil Asian character was there.
He's like, who's evil? Ming the Merciless.
Yeah.
The Mandarin. Yeah, it's just.
Nate, what's your history with Star Wars?
Well,
yeah, that's a great question.
I think it's Dean's history with Star Wars, right? Like, I think we all share the same history with Star Wars, where like, I didn't own the VHS tape, so I had to wait for it to show up on TBS, right? And like,
I had recordings of ones off TV, and I knew when to skip, like fast forward past the commercials.
Right. Yeah, like, it's just this overexposure because, like I think Star Wars today is like the way it was for us as children, where it's just like there was so much of it. If you wanted Star Wars stuff, you could get Star Wars stuff. There was no shortage of it. Like if you wanted Star Wars action figures, yep, you could go at it. If you wanted Star Wars cereal, it was there. Not new Star Wars like material as in like video, right? Like, because it really was just the original trilogy and the Christmas special.
Oh, God.
And that was it.
Introducing Chewbacca's family. His wife Mala. His father Itchy.
Those fucking Wookiees, man.
Yeah, and also they had the cartoon show, but like nobody watched that stuff. Like it was really just the original trilogy, right? And that's why it was such a big deal.
Ewoks and droids.
Like if this was before your time, children, it was a big deal when the prequel trilogy came out because like everyone was super excited for it. I was super excited for it. Tyler, you were super excited for it.
Yep.
Because we have built up this large canon of what is now called legends.
Like we looked at the werewolf lizard bounty hunter in The Empire Strikes Back. Like, what's that guy's deal? Right. We looked at the robot. I didn't know until way too long after that all these fuckers had names and backstories. I didn't read any of them. I don't care. Like
you didn't read the books? I thought you read the
I read
extended universe.
No, I didn't read any of that shit. I didn't play Shadows of the Empire. When I got
Dash Rendar is cool.
Look, I was about to mention when I got a Dash Rendar action figure, I pretended it was Solid Snake because I was more into that.
Nah, give me Dash Rendar, please.
I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's all cool. Like whatever. Like we should have a ginger in Star Wars that looks dope. Fine. I just love those movies, man. I never got into the extended universe. It was all about those three movies. Like I lived that shit. I breathed that shit. I fucking loved it. Like,
right.
And I still do. Like, I'll see it on TV from time to time, like on TBS or whatever, when I'm at work, and I just sit there and I'm like, wow, Return of the Jedi still kind of gets me.
Sure.
God damn. That's where it all went wrong.
I mean, Dean, do you still get those like feelings when you see a Star Wars?
Well, that's the thing. I always go in with a bit of hope. Like, I mean,
a new hope.
As stuff has popped out, I'm like, right, exactly. But there, which I think in that regard, I share with a lot of the general population because, like, I looked up like okay, what were the big the rankings of highest grossing Star Wars movies and with adjusted values and whatever, and it's A New Hope, The Force Awakens, Episode 1. Those are the top 3 right off the bat, which is all, hey, we're doing Star Wars again, baby. We're doing Star Wars for the first time. Get ready, kids. You're gonna feel like like all of those good feelings that you had when you were a child, and not the evil ones that send you to therapy. Right. Still, they're coming back.
I mean, did you?
You're gonna be able to escape into it.
Did you have that when like the new trilogy, the first movie of the new trilogy came out? Like, did you feel
Episode 1?
Yeah, no.
Or
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Yeah, like, did you get that feeling like I might be excited for this?
I did.
Yeah, it's a thing for me that it was like, I remember seeing the initial trailer for The Phantom Menace and being like, holy shit, they're doing Star Wars, and it's got like cool special effects, and then you see Darth Maul and you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be great.
Because Darth Maul is sick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but then but you get through those prequels and you're like, I don't know, I'm kind of bored. I don't want to, like they're not. I'm becoming much more of an adult.
Yeah.
And then you see the Force Awakens trailer, and you're like, "Holy shit, they're doing Star Wars again!" and you see it, and the purpose clearly from the way that they executed the Force Awakens. I know there's a lot of critique of like, well, they're just doing A New Hope again. They got another Death Star. They're doing all the. A lot of that is Disney was like, look, we got to make people excited for Star Wars again. So just remind them of good Star Wars. It doesn't have to be a new thing entirely. Just remind them. That's why they brought back Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, to write it, because they're like, we need that flavor back.
We got to distance ourselves from the prequels. We can't be associated with the old things that people realized were bad.
Now this is pod racing.
I think I finally became an adult when the second Star Wars prequel came out.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, because I was like, this is bad.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars. I kind of like was willing to forgive that first one if this one was good, but this is bad and I have to move on.
Well, it was the thing for me going into Attack of the Clones. Like when I saw Phantom Menace, like I liked it, but I was like kind of disappointed, but I couldn't articulate why, because I was, 10.
I was like,
or like 12.
Well, yeah, like they were setting something up. I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes.
Right. And that was fun. And then I'm old enough to recognize, I might be too old for this now. Like I am trying to go through puberty, trying to get my shit tugged on. Not happening.
You didn't go through puberty?
No, like I'm saying
Star Wars didn't
when these movies were coming out, like
right.
I was past the point where Star Wars was hitting for me. Like I was
Star Wars dropped my balls.
No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I had other priorities.
Okay.
I wanted my shit tugged on. It wasn't going to happen for quite some time because of who I am.
It happened for me when I watched the the Pearl Harbor movie. When that Pearl Harbor movie came out, that's when that happened.
You're like, that's not how missiles work. Oh, my balls.
Oh, all of a sudden,
Kate Beckinsale.
Well, oh, Josh Hartnett. But it is that thing of as we and Tyler, it sounds like you, and it's a thing where you start to experience new things that are new movies, new TV shows, new things that are elevated beyond the what both the prequels and even to some extent the original trilogy were, which are very simple. Hey, this is black and white. We need to understand there's a guy with a laser sword and he's got magic powers and he needs to kill his dad. Period. It's like that. That's the sort of
I think it's
easy to relate to.
Well, I think it's like like children watch the same movie over and over again, right? Like that's just things that kids do. They find their favorite movie, they watch it over and over again. We did that with Star Wars, right? But then at a certain point, like as a young adult, you start looking for newer experiences, and you're not necessarily looking for comfort anymore.
No,
right? You're looking for the new thing.
But I think we're weird in that we don't look for comfort or escape.
I mean, like here's the thing: if I put on RoboCop, you would sit down and watch it, right? Like you wouldn't. Tyler, you would.
Yeah,
I can see in your eyes that you. If I put on stuff,
I just smiled and lit up.
Right, and so I don't think it's that bad to revisit nostalgia and just take a little dip in the hot tub and dip out. Right, I think that's okay. But it's when you live in the hot tub and you start getting a little pruny. that's when problems start to arise. And I think that's the problem with modern Star Wars is that it's been living in the same story for too long. Dean, so like when the first of the new trilogy came out, I was like, this isn't great. I watched the Last Jedi in theaters. I'm like, okay, maybe they've done the thing that I wanted them to do.
Yeah, maybe they're trying something new. Maybe they're going a new direction.
Like, Dean, what was your opinion of that movie?
The Last Jedi, I know that a lot of critique from like the fandom that which we'll be getting into, the real toxic fandom, people were like, they're changing too much stuff, they're making it too different. I'm like, frankly, I feel like they could have made it more different, and I would have enjoyed it more.
Absolutely.
Like I thought, like visually, special effects. I mean, even a lot of the writing and interactions were solid. A little too much comedy for me for like a lot of the which I mean. Again, it's kind of a thing where it's Star Wars. You kind of have to.
It's a family-friendly adventure, again, so you gotta do the thing.
You're gonna need some porgs if you want the kids in there.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's that sort of thing where I enjoyed it for trying to do something different, but my main critique of it is that it kind of rolled all that back right at the end to just being like, it's a guy with a red lightsaber after a small group of rebels. I'm like, okay, and we did that.
Yeah,
and then any changes that were even made to introduce like, hey, this is going to be something different, were completely rolled back by Rise of Skywalker. They're like, fuck that. We need to get back to selling toys to kids like hardcore.
Yeah. Like there's a subtextual message in The Last Jedi for me that was like enough to kind of give me a little bit of hope, though, which was like,
and it wasn't even subtextual, it was text. I know what you're gonna say.
Well, yeah, so like the idea of that, like we need to kill the past.
Yeah,
we can't. Like my favorite scene in that movie is when Luke Skywalker and Yoda the Muppet are in that hut with all of the.
Do your Yoda voice.
That's one's not racist. I can do a Yoda voice.
I'll do Luke. You do Yoda real quick.
Okay. Hey, hello, you are.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Luke Skywalker.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm a Zionist.
Tatooine has the right to defend itself.
I feel betrayed in this. I was doing Yoda. I was doing Yoda voice.
He grew up on Tatooine.
He did. Yeah, you're right. But no, like there's a collection of old Jedi books, and they're like, we got to burn all these things to the ground. We're done with them. We need to make new stories for new Jedi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what you should be doing. Yes. That's not what this movie did.
No.
But that's what they wanted to do in the future.
It was the larger theme. Like,
yeah,
the character Kylo Ren says, let the past die, kill it if you have to.
Right. And, like there was sick enough fight scenes and enough of a visual flair that was like, okay, maybe Star Wars, maybe you can fix this, which is make new stories for the adults that grew up on Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right. Because I also think, too, that like gearing Star Wars for children is a misstep because like children have their own shit to watch.
Yeah.
They're watching PJ Masks.
I still don't know who this is.
They're playing Minecraft. They're playing Roblox. They have their own culture. We should stop trying.
They're watching A24 films.
Yeah, well, I mean, so do I, though. But like,
10-year-olds love I Saw the TV Glow.
They love it. But you get
Mr. Melancholy show for kids would fucking hit.
Honestly, though, but like, you get what I'm saying, though, is like let the younger generation develop their own culture, please. Don't try to make them into young Jedi.
And it's like you can take the language of Star Wars and make kid shit with it. Like there's Batman the Brave and Bold. That was a kid. It was a TV show for children, but they also do like Vertigo line shit with like we have all these stupid things.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that like kids should have their own thing that they grew up on, and it shouldn't have to be Star Wars. Make Star Wars for adults. Make Andor is what I'm saying.
Right.
Well, they've had cartoon going. I mean, multiple cartoons going since even before Lucas sold the company. So it's a thing where it's like that thread has always been there, and I absolutely 100% agree with you that there was a point, and again, it's kind of to the genius of Lucas's capitalism, his business sense is he's the 3 movies wrapped, the first 3 movies, and he's like, okay, I have this really shitty deal that I had to make with the toy company. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to make anything else because I'm barely getting paid for it. So he just held off and held off and held off until like people weren't selling Star Wars toys anymore. And then they forgot to send him a check for $10,000, which was part of the contract. If they didn't make a more than $10,000 every year with the sales of the toys, they had to just send him a check. And they forgot. And his lawyers jumped on it with both feet and were like, all right, we're renegotiating the contract. And as soon as they renegotiated the contract, he's like, hey, I'm making these special editions. Hey, I'm working on 3 more movies. Hey, it's like he knew exactly how to do it. And then, like, if you've seen any of the behind-the-scenes stuff with, like, the prequels, he's like, well, we're doing Jar Jar because he's going to be funny for kids. It's this thing where he understood the marketing side of it, but he lost sense that the target audience, those kids aren't watching watching Star Wars anymore.
Yeah, right.
As you said, the kids grew up. So, and that's I think the thing that we 3 appreciate with Andor is the idea that it's like, okay, the median age of a Star Wars fan is like 32. Yeah. They're not kids. I mean, you look at the prices of those toys and whatever, they're like and one of the guys we're going to talk about sells lightsabers. They're like $200 a pop. They're insane.
No 12-year-old is getting this.
Of like,
yeah.
Exactly.
Or maybe they are, though,
exactly.
right? Like,
I mean,
maybe there's that rich, like, zillennial that's like, I want my kid to be in Star Wars the way I was. I'm going to buy him a $200.
That's Star Wars Daddy, who we looked at last night.
But, like, but that's abusive. Like, my son has to play baseball because I loved baseball, right? Like, but anyways, we'll get there.
Which if we know anything about parenting, which I mean, all 3 of us are dads, right?
We're daddies, yeah.
It's the idea. It's like you just push your child into something, and they'll absolutely accept it. And it's going to end up like those parents that are really really pushing Star Wars on their kids. Those kids are going to be like cool and like be athletes. They're going to be like, I don't enjoy this.
My son's getting too much pussy.
I want to get laid.
He won't watch The Mandalorian with me.
So it's that sort of thing where I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, like, we need to get into these freaks.
Yeah. So Star Wars,
yeah, absolutely,
as a cultural product. Oh boy, it's definitely like. This is a big tough one for me because
I think like the history here is important because, like, Dean, you put it in a great context, which is that George Lucas kind of sat on it for a long period of time. So it didn't give, like, it wasn't like a Transformers where they burned it out. It wasn't like a G.I. Joe where they burned it out,
right.
They kind of sat on the material for long enough that everyone kind of held it in pristine amber in their childhood, right? It wasn't ruined yet. And so it became sacred. Right. It became a sacred fandom.
Yep.
Much like Lord of the Rings, much like a lot of fandoms out there, it became like, oh, I study these books like a Bible.
Yes.
Like, I know exactly who IG-88 is. I know his history. I know of Saurians?
Saurians?
The dinosaur guys. Like in
like Bosk, the bounty hunter.
In the bounty hunter scene, there's like a dinosaur guy. There's an IG-88.
That's Bosk.
Yeah, okay, that's Fred Bosk.
God damn.
See though, like that scene lasted like a minute maybe, but like there was a whole elaborate lore and backstory to all these guys, right? Because there was just nothing new. It became sacred, right? And I think that's where we get our toxic fandom.
Yeah. These freaks,
right? And it's right, and some of that also like lends to in those downtimes, there was all these books being written that, and even like Marvel comics and stuff like that, that like your normal moviegoer didn't give a fuck about, but that little core of Star Wars fans that were like, well, I watch the movies every week or whatever, like they gobbled those books up, and now those are like the fucking Dead Sea Scrolls. Like they're like, you are breaking this. Like and keep in mind, Lucas did not give a shit about that stuff. He literally was just like, whatever. I don't care. Like, just here, send me a check. And
he called Yoda like a weird
fucking Boba Fett.
He called Yoda like the weird little toad. Let's give him a laser sword. Like he has
he has no reverence for this shit.
Which is healthy.
It is very
absolutely not.
And I think anybody making Star Wars shit should have no reverence for it.
Yeah. But so warp to the modern day, right? Yep. The modern day, that we have a bunch of like freaks who worshipped Star Wars.
Yeah, there's a whole ecosystem of people that just consume Star Wars content and make content about their consumption of it.
And they're all
what a bunch of idiots would ever like consume content that they hate and talk about it. What a bunch of fucking moron idiots.
Well, I mean, and this is the important distinction with, like, for instance, you guys had an Animorphs podcast, like you consumed those books, you made a thing, but it wasn't your life.
No,
it wasn't who you were. Like, I mean, like that sort of thing. It's these people are so oddly unique. And then I was trying to think of like other fandoms that had like this level of like polarization of like people that are like just consuming it just to hate it. And I can't think of one. I mean, like even Star Trek nerds are like,
well, they hate them.
Like I enjoyed.
They hate new Star Trek, which, to be fair, it does suck.
It's dog shit. Yeah,
like that's justified.
Right. But I think their market share of like people that are like, I'm just gonna make a YouTube channel that just talks about how much I hate Star Trek is way, that's such a much smaller segment of the population than the Star Wars groups. And I mean, like, I don't know, like Harry Potter, like people like either you like it or you don't. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to think of the huge IPs that like are just multi-billion-dollar industries. And it's like, yeah, most people are just like, yeah, I like it or I don't. And it's like, the people that don't like new Star Trek are just like, it sucks and I don't like it. And most of this, and this is the important thing is you'll find is that overlap that we're seeing with these assholes. It's almost a perfect like Venn diagram of people that hate new Star Trek and hate new Star Wars, and there's a very common theme through these.
For me, like Marvel fans, right? Like it's all if you're under the Disney umbrella,
same.
Like you'll hate the new content, right?
Or you want it to go back to feel like Endgame every time,
or you have this weird obsession with Snow White. Or the Little Mermaid, or
so. Let me throw this question out to you. We'll get to our first freak.
Okay,
this is for both of you. Is Yaddle's pussy green or pink?
Pink.
Wow, Dean.
It is green.
Wait,
it is green.
Blue. Wait, okay. So you're saying it is green, like you have a source.
Yeah, I do. So the guy one of the guys that worked on this original Star Trek, the original Star Wars episode prequels. So they had to ask a question for Lucas because they're completely CGing Yoda, and they're like, "So what color is his blood?" And because their light's going to shine through it, so they have to know. And Lucas just kind of like looks at him and like shrugs. He's like, green? It's just like, I don't know, green. So all of their internal bits have to be green is my logic.
Oh, I thought it was just some sculptor who made Yaddle was like, I'm making her pussy green.
It could be both.
I'm sure that exists. Absolutely. It's probably green the whole way through with every type of porn that we seek out. But
now let's.
Yeah, that's the logic.
Now that
is the biology of.
Now that we've answered that,
just
let's
checking that one off the
talking
list
about our first and I think biggest, most awful freak. Mr. Star Wars Theory.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when a group or a fandom that doesn't like a form of art, such as today's day and age of movies, instead of being criticized as, they have poor taste in films, they're now seen as all hating women. That's literally what it's come down to. It's like, you don't like this piece of art because you hate women, because you're racist, you're homophobic. So you're telling me that this fandom that was amassing this massive IP that George Lucas created back in 1977 has hated women since 1977, that allowed this product to be worth $4 billion, where Disney purchased it, and they purchased it knowing that men hate women, and so therefore then they start to create more female-centric movies because they know that men hate women. Where is this logic? Where is your proof that everybody who didn't like the film and didn't like Rey Skywalker is because they hate women?
Ooh, boy.
Dean, how did you encounter Star Wars Theory?
Yeah.
How'd you get here?
Who are you? What's going on?
Well, I mean, we can. Tyler and I we should share our story of how we cross paths over a certain TV show. But Star Wars Theory, because if you do anything involving like online, either YouTube or Twitter, with Star Wars, this fucker shows up like somewhere in either the discourse, either people like hating on his stupid ass takes, or people supporting him and saying like, look, he knows what to do. Like he's doing the right thing. So he's just this figure that has been involved. And I would almost say that he might be like the core originator of the like, fuck this, new Star Wars. I don't like it. Because I mean, he started his channel in 2016.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he's part of like the initial land grab, right? Of just like content created, like lore specific content creators, right? Like, it was early YouTube, and well, I guess 2016 was early-ish YouTube, early enough that you could establish yourself as a channel of just like, I just talk about Star Wars and be able to develop this kind of audience. So he wins by default, which happens with like a lot of those younger
to his
creators.
credit, he has read all these dumbass, like that video you showed me, the Anakin did nothing wrong, where he's like, on page 29 of the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, blah, 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 Anakin, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, you did a book report. That's good. I guess that's fine.
Anakin definitely did a lot of wrong things, but once this video is done in its entirety and you watched it all the way through, you'll have a better understanding of how, from his point of view, he didn't really do much that was wrong. If the Jedi had just been a little bit more careful with who they were dealing with, bringing in such a damaged boy who required more love and attention than others, could this have really changed the fate of the galaxy and the fate of so many in the Star Wars universe? That's what we're going to examine today in this very long video documentary. Anakin did nothing wrong. And in the Revenge of the Sith novelization by Matthew Stover, we don't just see his fall, we feel it from the inside. It begins, and stay with me now, a dragon. On page 29 of the novelization, Matthew Stover writes, Anakin sometimes thinks of the dread that eats at his heart as a dragon. A cold kind, a dead kind, not nearly dead enough. Now this dragon isn't a beast, it's fear. Fear that everything he loves will die.
So there's two things.
He has the memorization, but not the internal monologue to understand what things are about.
Yeah, he can summarize, but not analyze.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think the two, I saw who this guy was, and I'm going to give these two examples of it.
Okay.
The first one is the very first video we watched. I think that Dean maybe sent us, or one we hopped around on, where he's like, Star Wars is my life, and when you insult Star Wars, you're insulting me. Like, he pretty much flat out says that in a video.
Yep.
And that tells me everything I need to know about him. He's pathetic. And the second thing is the thing we watched last night with the trans clone trooper video.
Right.
Where he's like, so here's how these fuckers work. They say one thing that kind of is okay, like a point, and I'll say Star Wars Theory's okay thing was, I don't care if, they're black, white, trans, straight, or an alien, which, I mean, he equated trans people with aliens. That's problematic in its own way, but his point was, like, it doesn't matter what their orientation is. It doesn't, like, fine, whatever, put them in the story, don't put them in the story, whatever. That's fine.
I disagree.
No, hold on, I'm getting there.
Okay.
But then he says, but that's from real life. Keep it out of Star Wars.
Yep.
But I mean, okay, so I don't agree with his first point. Both points are wrong.
Well, I mean,
because
I agree with you there, but this is
yeah, well, okay, no, you gotta say why though.
No, that is the normie way of thinking, where it's like, well, I don't really care about all that stuff, but just stay out of my house. Like that is the that's the baseline normie response to any of these issues.
That's the right-wing response. I don't even say it's normie response, right? Because the right-wing response is, I don't care what you are, just don't be shoved in my face, which means don't exist.
Yes.
Right.
And well, I'd hate to I'd hate to tell you what normies are like now.
Well, I'm just trying to not make them the default.
Come into my hospital and try and mention anyone's pronouns, and they will go to town. People are hateful motherfuckers.
All right, I'll consider. I'll say the majority. If you want to call it the majority.
I don't think
opinion.
that most people are hateful by nature, but they're also like, they don't know when they are being hateful, and that is the normie response.
I don't want to talk about this.
Yes,
right. Which sure.
But which is inherently right wing.
Right. Because he has his fantasy world that where a white guy is the hero and has a laser sword and magic powers. And you're bringing in things that he doesn't want to talk about, that he doesn't want to engage with, like a woman or a person of any other gender, or like he's like no, the women should be princesses, and that may sometimes pull out a blaster, but the idea of like, oh well, we're just gonna make a gay character, and he's like, no, give me back my toys, I'm going home. He
is the homophobic slug.
You don't want to. It's funny. Like we watched the video. Everyone Google the homophobic slug from Star Wars. It's very funny. But like so he hates Andor, right?
Yeah.
Like we watched his video where he doesn't want to. He's like, I'm done trying to watch Andor. I'm not going to watch it. And one of his biggest complaints, like he has a lot of complaints on it, but one of his biggest complaints was that he saw bricks and screws, and he didn't want to see that in Star Wars because it reminded him too much of the real world,
right?
Of like a place that like was being constructed, and there was like masonry involved, and he didn't want to see that. And like that's the extent of his bubble, is that he doesn't even want to see anything that resembles anything close to a reality, right? And like, how do you even tell a story?
And part of that too. Well, part of that too is that he's not very smart, so it's difficult.
Yeah, he is very
appeal to authority. He does this appeal to authority because in his years of making Star Wars content, he's gotten to be able to actually like interview and talk to and go to conventions and stuff like that in order to meet all these various people that were involved in the making of Star Wars, especially back in the day. And he talked to, I think it was Ralph McQuarrie's assistant. That was like, Lucas said, don't make anything that could exist in this universe when you're making the concept art. So he's taking that little piece where, Lucas is just giving the guy direction. Yeah. He's like, yeah, don't make it like rockets and shit that we can do here. Like, try to make it a little bit, zazz it up a bit, baby.
Yeah.
And it is just like, no, that is words from Moses. We cannot change anything. It's just the stupidest shit.
And I think you keyed on, and Nate, you also keyed on this, that he sees himself, not only does he appeal to authority, but he sees himself as an authority on the subject. His word is law.
I'm sure he's memorized a lot of things people have said about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And a lot of Star Wars material. I believe that he has it memorized.
Yep.
Right. But like he doesn't see them as stories. He doesn't see them as like living things that can change and morph over time.
And he also doesn't really seem to understand that you're not supposed to like Anakin Skywalker in the prequel trilogy. Like, he's not made, like, a lot of these guys haven't figured out that just because he's a protagonist doesn't mean he's good or what he does is good.
Well, like he goes to like the source material as proof because he wants to be able to prove things about a fictional universe, right? Like I need to be able to prove that Darth Sidious, or was Darth Sidious the one who was like, I know how to cheat death, or Darth Plagueis?
Yeah, he's Palpatine.
Yeah.
Darth Plagueis was the guy that showed up in the Acolyte.
Right. Yeah, Darth Plagueis, he could cheat death. And he said this, and this, and that proves that I'm right because he said this. Right? Because he's wanting to justify his authority as like the judge of Star Wars, right? Like he's
the arbiter of Star Wars,
right? He got his law degree in Star Wars,
yeah,
and he has this idea that he can like prove things to the point where if you have an opinion of like, I didn't like the prequels, that I'm wrong,
yeah,
right? It's like, oh no, it's not that you just didn't like it; it's that you're stupid, and here's why,
yeah.
Which, like, you see that a lot of fandoms.
It's that thing where it's like, right, and it's a thing where like going back to the idea of, because I mean he started his channel after, like 4 years after Disney bought him out, and ever since, like I think the big thing was that he got like somehow like in some kind of controversy with like season 2 of The Mandalorian or some shit, that Lucas Film Story Group executive Pablo Hidalgo was criticized for allegedly mocking his video in private tweets, and that leaked in 2020. So, like, I think pretty much ever since then he's been like, "Fuck you, Disney!" Everything.
But like, here's the problem. I think Disney listens to this guy a little bit.
Yeah,
Right?
So I think there's this hot take we've been sort of dancing around with this guy and some of this stuff is that Disney wants their outrage just to drive any dollars there. Like this guy, StarWarsTheory, he sells lightsabers, like a trademarked thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does that with Disney. Like they will copyright strike a shirt with Mickey Mouse on it. But somehow this butt chin having motherfucker can just sell lightsabers for $300. I don't understand it. And it's a system. So these people, the way they act, and Dean, at some point I want you to tell the story about how this guy he wanted rape to be called glip-glorp or something.
Okay. So
hold on. You tell that after this. So he doesn't, Star Wars itself is about creeping authoritarianism and how that's bad. But this motherfucker has seen himself as the Anakin Skywalker who's sort of internalized that he's the badass who's been manipulated and misused by everybody. So he has no choice but to strike out against everyone. And maybe sometimes that makes you a bad guy. And they don't understand that sort of like, they're letting themselves be okay with the Nazis. Like a proper society would not have a dancing Darth Vader at a kids show.
It's hard.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
it is fun.
you don't really see them. Well, yeah, you don't see the villains from Indiana Jones kind of being zany, like in their own thing. It's just kind of. So it's seen as being bad taste.
Like this guy, he tries to keep anything approaching the real world out of Star Wars, which I think is really bad because Lucas himself has said, "Oh yeah, the original rebellion was based on the Viet Cong."
Yeah,
like, that's well known.
But like Star Wars has that problem too because like the property Star Wars has this conflict of like some people like the Empire, which like, hey, you know what? Like I like being a villain sometimes in games, like, you know, when I was playing Knights of the Old Republic, I was going to be the evil Revan,
right?
You know, because like,
well, spoiler alert.
Sorry.
Some people might not know that in Knights of the Old Republic 1, the protagonist is Darth Revan, the villain who they think is dead.
Yeah. I mean, like, and it's fun to be evil in games and fantasy sometimes, right? So like, there's that conflict and like they acknowledge like sometimes people want to be part of the Empire to role play that.
Right.
You know, but like, So there is that conflict within the property, right?
Yes.
So like I don't want to like get him for that because there's other things to get him for, right? Where he internalizes it a little bit.
Yeah, I think these are all problems that feed the hate inside, which is what in Star Wars you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Remember when he's like, and the dragon inside Anakin, but this was not a literal dragon, this was a metaphor. He doesn't understand. And so any sort of real like anytime that Star Wars tries to bring in any real life evils represented by the evil characters in the show, he has to fight against because then he is forced to internalize he might be on that side of things, which is why he got uncomfortable with the rape scene in the latest season of Andor.
And that's the thing too. It's which, you know, in that conversation that he had, which was the hodgepodge of people that we will probably talk about. He was like, look, they do sexual assault in the books. They just don't call it rape. And, you know, and I'm okay with that, you know, but maybe if they come up with a different name for it, like a Star Warsy name. And you know, like my joke is like, they should call it Gleep Glorp. So, and just have the one character say he Gleep Glorped me.
Which is worse. Like, that's the bad way to do that.
Right. Which fortunately in that exchange there was a woman there that was like, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. If you're gonna have sexual assault, have it like called rape. It's not.
It should feel bad.
Like
it should be a bad thing in the story.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was his thing was like. Darth Vader and Palpatine would not have allowed that to happen. they have strict HR rules about treating women with respect. Apparently, which is
you mean that evil lightning wizard would actually be like, I draw the line when it comes to.
I can excuse the murder of children, but I will not allow someone to be gleep.
Hold on, Tyler.
What?
They're called younglings.
Shut the fuck up.
Because like Star Wars does kind of do this, right? So like this is where he gets it from, right?
Right.
He gets it from like because Star Wars probably didn't call it rape. I believe him when he says they called it something else because like boy that is a harsh word, you know.
Right.
Sure, I agree, but like for the story that Andor is telling, you use the harsh word.
Yeah.
Right. You don't
worry. Someone says shit later in the season. I know you haven't seen it yet, but someone drops the S bomb.
Scandalous, right? But like
in Andor, Cassian says in the first 10 minutes of the season.
Yeah. Ooh.
Cassian says shit in the first 10 minutes.
Oh, he does.
When he's trying to pilot the TIE Avenger.
Man, this show rocks.
Fuck. No, but like
the Empire is fucking evil.
Right, but like in Andor, if they killed a bunch of children, they would say, I killed a bunch of children. They wouldn't say, I killed younglings.
Right.
Right, but like, that's why there's this schism in the Star Wars property, like as a whole, is that there's the adult storyline and then there's the young adult storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, the adult storyline is bumping up against the young adult storyline. It's making... say the Star Wars Theory guy uncomfortable because he's the young adult storyline, right? Like he's
the child.
He is the child. He wants the child story.
He's got a baby brain,
right? And he wants the story that feels comfortable and safe. And guess what's not comfortable and safe? Sexual assault.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of the opposite.
It's the one thing he doesn't want to talk about. I'm not going to say why.
We can probably guess.
Well, I mean, and especially considering like he and again, this is kind of that thing of that fandom of saying like Lucas had a very specific dream of you know this specific way that the world was going to be and the universe was. And he's like, no. If you look at it, like you look at the fucking A New Hope, there's a guy that gets his arm cut off, and Luke and his Luke's aunt and uncle get fucking torched, and you see like their bodies. What it is that Lucas was like, look, what makes money? Not R-rated movies. PG movies. In fact, he was pissed off whenever they created PG-13 because he thought he was going to lose money. I mean, the first PG-13 Star Wars was Revenge of the Sith, and that mostly it's because you see Anakin, his flesh burning off, and it's like, well, you can't really write around that to have it just inferred.
Wasn't PG-13 invented for Indiana Jones?
Yeah, I think so.
It was
feels right.
Indiana Jones. Yeah, I think for some reason I think it was like right in that span of because I know that Temple of Doom got it.
Yeah, I'll inject editor's
I feel
note
like
later.
Gremlins.
Maybe it could be Gremlins actually. Yo, I'll look it up later.
Look, you don't come to hate speech for facts. We do racist voices, hot takes, and hate.
Well, actually, no. The fact is, the PG-13 rating was added to the MPAA system in response to movies like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So it's because of Indiana Jones that there was a PG-13 rating. The first PG-13 movie was Red Dawn. Nobody cares. And then I'll insert the...
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, see,
sorry, I was doing my Nemoidian.
Yeah, you got... Poor Leonard Nimoy. He didn't deserve that.
Let's all say our favorite slur. I'm going with honky.
Cracker.
But no, PG...
Poodoo.
That's a good one. Poodoo, right? But yeah, I mean, it's this as you said it earlier, that it's like this world encased in amber, that it's like, this is innocence, this is childlike wonder. And I mean, and to that point too, like what happened with the special releases, the special editions in the 90s, Lucas was like, this stuff is too harsh for kids, and I'm not going to make money off of it. So Han doesn't shoot first. Greedo shoots first. And maybe we'll cut a little, you know, we're going to, and I mean, it was also a scam also to make sure that his ex-wife didn't get money from the re-release because she was the original editor. So he basically recut the whole fucking movie.
He's like, oh, but, we need to have a new musical scene. I don't like calling it jizz. It's not jizz anymore. I didn't know it was that music was called jizz.
I didn't know that the stuff that pumped out of me was also music.
Bring back jizz.
Bring back jizz.
Make a whole Disney. Here's my plea to you. I want you to make a whole new series called Jizz, and it's about the upstart musician in a jizz joint.
That's what I was saying last night. They should make Whiplash about a jizz musician.
Yeah, exactly.
And I should get to see the jizz.
That's right.
And taste some of it.
Listen, sometimes when the jizz is just so good, you can almost taste it. Like here's the thing. I still love Star Wars in my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Like I love the dumb parts of Star Wars. I love jizz.
Yeah.
Sure.
I do.
No one cut that either. No one cut that I sucked my cousin off or that Nate loves jizz.
I love jizz. I love the robot that got his feet seared and he screamed. Like I love that part. Like
I love Jawas.
And like
I love the original name for Tusken Raiders.
I think they still use that name. I don't know.
Boba Fett's ship's original name that got changed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did. Yeah,
did they change it?
I think so.
What is it now?
Yep.
Helper-2.
I think it's like
This is my ship, Helper-1.
intern 1.
Woof. But probably though, right? Because like changing it makes it worse.
Yeah.
Like trying to go back and fixing it makes it worse, which is why, like, again, yeah, if you got Nemoidians, don't fix their accent because now you're erasing shit. Like, you can't change that past.
Yeah, you have to live with it. Keep doing racist characters is what Nate's saying.
I'm saying you don't have to. Maybe they're just not here.
Hey, look, there's the Nemoidians.
Yeah, like you said with the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Well, so it's now called Fire Spray, which sounds like a good jizz album.
Yeah, no, you don't want that.
But
it's stupid. That's not right.
But yeah, like. But yeah, to your point, it's like, yeah, just write around it. Write around the problematic stuff, racist caricatures or.
Do they ever even say the name of the ship in the like? They never say it in the movie.
I only knew it from the MC Chris song.
Right.
Right. From toys and from obviously like media and games and stuff like that. That's it.
I'm gonna get on eBay searching for like the original Boba Fett ship Star Wars box. Yeah, kind of like the guy who wants the N-word cut of the conversation.
Yeah, they had to rename George Lucas's cat. But
it was H.P. Lovecraft's cat.
Yeah. And but back to this freak though, because
he is a freak.
Because I think the cardinal sin of all fandoms is that they start making it their identity. Like there are parts of Star Wars I love. I love jizz, right? But
keep saying it. Go off, King.
Yeah, I will.
Open up. I'll give you some jizz.
Right, and I'll keep on saying it because it's not part of my identity, right? Like the nasty frogs that Jabba the Hutt eats isn't part of my identity. And if they changed the frogs to slugs, I wouldn't be like, no, I wouldn't cry in a corner. I'd just be like, that's weird. Oh, they changed the name of Slave 1?
Oh, you said it!
Well, it's like, yeah, I understand why they would do that, actually. I get that.
Blow up Slave 1, have him get a new ship.
Yeah, there you go.
It's easy.
Yeah, and so
hire me, Kathleen Kennedy. I'll be like cheap Tony Gilroy.
You can sell a new toy.
Right, and I'm of the opinion that stories should morph and change over time. If you're going to keep the same base around, then change it, dog, because otherwise it's boring.
It's comic books for me. Like, different writers bring different shit to the material. Let them do what they want. The fact that these freaks hang on to canon, like, you cannot, like, deviate from it at all. Fuck you, idiot. Just watch the thing and enjoy that a thing got made. Not everything has to serve some fucking, like...
So you said the word, like, canon. Canon is the thing that needs to just be killed.
Yeah. Let the cannon die. Kill it if you have to.
Yeah, kill that cannon.
Like, it does not matter because I was we'll just get into Dean's and my history. I was a very vocal hater of Rogue One. And then Andor came out. I was so over Star Wars. I'd never watched Andor. I started tweeting like, oh, look at the little babies getting their new Star Wars bullshit or whatever I was saying. And Dean and I don't know how I ended up on your feed or how you ended up. It doesn't matter. We fought all fucking day long on Twitter. It ruined both of our days. And now we're friends. And now we both love Andor.
Yeah. Andor's good.
Because Andor rocks.
Well, part of it, I think it crossed my, because I'm at this point, and this will probably end after Andor. I'm like very getting, the algorithm is feeding me Star Wars stuff fucking constantly. And the thing with that, why I jumped on it with you was I was where you are. I had a friend of mine tell me, look, no, man, you should give this a chance. The guy that did Michael Clayton is doing it. The guy that did Bourne Identity is doing it. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm fucking over Star Wars, man. And then I watched that first episode and the second episode and the third episode. And I'm like, oh no, this is for real. Like, this is actually not just good Star Wars. This is actually good show filmmaking.
Right.
So that's why, it's kind of like, I'm like, no, I know what you're feeling. I know I've been there, and I swear to God, just give it a chance, man.
And I'm glad I did, because my favorite Star Wars character is not anyone from the trilogy anymore. It's fucking Kino Loy. Like,
because he's awesome.
He rocks.
Who's Kino Loy?
Andy Serkis from the prison.
Oh, okay.
Like that, the heist in the prison arc. So like the better than almost all Star Wars, and the latest Andor arc is up there with it.
I mean, if we're ranking characters, Cyril actually,
I'm like, yeah, Cyril.
Like Cyril's fun.
He's great too.
I can't wait for you to get to the newest arc. He rocks in it.
Right, and so there is a usefulness to having it be a Star Wars universe too, right?
Yeah,
and I think that like that's why it's okay for Star Wars for Andor to exist, because it helps with the shorthand.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to tell me what a Star Cruiser is. I kind of understand. You don't need to tell me who the Empire is. I kind of understand.
Right.
Right. Like, it adds this shared universe in which we tell a smaller story.
Yeah.
Or a very targeted story, and like that's okay. I think like that's allowed to exist. It's these other things of like, I don't want to see another Skywalker ever again.
Yeah, no thanks.
Right. Like, please God, no. Like, I'm so done. Do not show me a Grogu. I don't want to see a Yoda anymore.
Well, and that's kind of the irony that happens with a lot of these guys like Star Wars Theory, is that Dave Filoni is basically the other guy involved with making modern Star Wars, and he is really like Star Wars Theory as far as like just an adherence, like with both hands, to what canon is, and that George Lucas was a genius. So all of the shit that is just reference after reference after reference, very much, like we talk about like the Marvel like thing. It's just like references of shit. After a while, you just kind of get glazed eyes over it. But
glazed like jizz.
That's right. You get jizz music all over it.
Right.
And but the But that's the thing. That's what these ironically these guys hate, because they're like, well, don't you can't just keep referencing this stuff because there's nothing new. Oh, don't show me anything new because I don't want my precious baby to change. It's like and I think this is the real, digging into the truth of the matter. It's about money.
Yeah.
And like you guys brought up that idea that it's like, yeah, this is almost like what Dedra is doing in season 2 of Andor, where you have a controlled opposition in order to kind of like facilitate what you're trying to have happen. And because it's a culture war now. Yep. It's not a matter of like, hey, we're trying to sell some shit. It's like, no. This is beyond, whether Luke milks a big creature. It's now, are women, should they be allowed to vote? Like, it's that kind of shit. Like, it's just insane.
That's really insightful, because I think that my biggest hang up with Andor still is that it's a Disney property, and how subversive can it be as a part of the Disney family? Right? Because you're right. Like, Andor is kind of like Dedra. It's like facilitating this very good counterpoint to all the things that we're complaining about. However, I also think that the other side is a bigger dollar, right? The people that are out there watching Skeleton Crew, that are going to Disneyland, to going to Galaxy's Edge, and a
lot more of this stuff
that are buying like the Grogu merch and are very excited for the next season of The Mandalorian, even though they thought it was kind of bad. They're still going to watch it. Like, that audience is better, is bigger, and they spend more money,
spending power,
right? Because they love it. Like, they love the references. They love the slop. Like,
and they love to escape. Like, this is all their escape.
Right.
And that ain't for me, dog.
I mean, well, it's that thing that those hardcore fans, like I said, they're like in the 30-something range of age now. A lot of them were nerds growing up, so they probably have jobs in like IT or data entry, and so they have those. Right, yeah. That $5,000 worth of what was it, the Star Wars hotel that Jenny Nicholson did a thing about? It's like it was I think that what was like between $5,000 and $6,000 for a weekend.
Yep.
Not like a week, a weekend. And
to stay in a
it's just
hotel
like,
room.
yeah,
You know, like
I mean,
It's
Yeah.
just, it's all moving money around. Like the thing that I keep thinking about with this stuff specifically is what I said to you last night, Nate, where I think of that Soleimani quote where it's like, how do you kill America? Do you drop a bomb on SpongeBob? Like,
yeah,
Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, these are our heroes. And the fact that something like Andor, something that's explicitly left wing, even under the umbrella of Disney, as much as that's worth, which is not a whole lot because it won't make money. Although Andor has been popular and brought profit. Fine, whatever. But it's also it's left ideas sold to people who may not have otherwise got it, which I think is good for pop culture.
Right. And so like, which is why I support Andor on the whole. Although it's funny, there are two audiences that are explicitly against Andor. One is Star Wars Theory because it brings adult subjects to his young adult fiction.
Yep.
The other side is the BDS movement. And like, I kind of see that too, actually. You know, like Disney actually has their hands in dirty pies, not jizz.
How do you make a dirty pie? You play some jizz.
Right. And so like, I also understand why you would maybe not watch Andor because of that.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, but like from Disney's perspective, they don't care about any of that.
No.
You know, controversy is good. These two fan bases fighting is good because guess what? They get to capture both markets, so they don't care.
Yep.
It's all rot.
Yeah,
Capital's rot.
Yeah.
Right, and that's like and which each of these people that we're talking about, like as we discussed with Star Wars Theory, it's like I mean, he's got lightsabers. I'm on the website now. Like every lightsaber is incredibly expensive. It has a disclaimer on it. It's not affiliated with Lucasfilm Entertainment, LTD, LucasArts, Disney, or any other subsidiaries. But they're selling Star Wars. I mean, they're selling Star Wars, like the logos and the material, like
the fonts probably.
They even have Arabesh, the fake language. I'm like, I don't understand how they were just like kind of just be like, whatever, don't worry about it. Like, but that's the thing. It's like he probably writes them a check every month to say like, yeah, we're using your license or whatever. Here you go.
And he drives eyes to their bullshit.
Now, I want to defend him. I think I can defend him a little bit. Here we go.
You like that he's on testosterone and steroids, which we did. What's his dose? Do you remember?
It's 200 milligrams
a week. Yep.
Go ahead and do your thing then.
What?
You talk about his testosterone. Talk about like he's on T.
Well, it's the inherent contradiction that these fucking hateful bigots like they don't understand about themselves. Like this fucking piece of human garbage was saying, "Oh, trans people have no place in Star Wars," but this motherfucker's on hormones. Like he's right.
But like,
you prolonged testosterone use. Guess what? You keep doing that, your body stops being able to make endogenous testosterone, so you're stuck on hormone therapy forever, and you make yourself a low T beta male because you need to feel like fucking alpha. Sorry, can you bleep that? I'm not supposed to do actionable threats anymore.
I mean,
it's the inherent contradiction within them, which why he doesn't like Andor, because it causes the conflict that the dark side does.
See, here's my defense though.
All right,
it's cool to take drugs. Yeah, I'm with you.
He's
5'8".
He's just not like smart. He doesn't have an internal monologue. He doesn't have the self-actualization that a lot of adults do. Right? He hasn't taken an internal audit of who he is and what he is. Right? And that's why he absorbs Star Wars as his identity, because he doesn't know who he is. I think that he's just never questioned like what his values are. Which is why, like, I think, hey, he takes tea because he's like, these people I look up to also take tea and I want to be like them. Like he's a child following around an adult. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that to be prescriptive. I'm trying to figure out who this person is. And, it's more sad than rage-inducing. Because I think that he's a victim of society. We have let this person down.
Sure.
Because
well, he's from Canada. He's from Canada, so that's okay.
Oh yeah, I was about to make fun of the education system.
That's why he has good health care.
Yeah,
there it is.
Maybe.
Fuck.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know, and you see that a lot with fandoms where like you try to talk about anything else and they just can't have that conversation outside of it.
Which is why I don't really like engaging with Animorphs fans anymore. Like
well,
the ones,
some like
don't
like
be so,
the
people who have made it their identity. Like that ain't for me anymore, dog.
Right, because you know we have varied interests, and I think that's healthy and cool to have varied interests. You know, and I think it's unhealthy to have a singular interest. Now, I almost said hyper focused, right? And I don't think he's autistic because also I don't want to prescribe. I don't want to like self-diagnose somebody over the internet. But like, you know, I do think that there is a character flaw here, and that is starting to manifest itself in right-wing returnism.
Yeah, it's Arrested Development nostalgia.
Right, which does lead to fascism, right?
Yes.
Because, you know, his sacred texts are changing and we need to stop that somehow.
Yeah.
Whether that be like erasing people of like, oh, this trans character doesn't exist, or this woman character is ruining Star Wars.
Right.
Because it's not the thing that it was before. Or it's the we need to go back fascism, right? It's the return to tradition, right? Return to when Star Wars was good is because of all these changes because of woke, right?
Yes.
That's kind of where that goes. And you see a harsher version of that with the other guy that we watched, the Critical Drinker.
Ugh.
The movie was first announced at Star Wars Celebration way back in April of last year, where Daisy Ridley strode out onto the stage to, not exactly thunderous applause. Not only was she returning to the role that both launched and killed her acting career without even seeing a script because one didn't even exist yet, but the film was going to be directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, a feminist activist documentary filmmaker who for some reason was now put in charge of a $200 million Star Wars movie.
Really?
Okay, sure.
We should talk about him
can
for a
do
little
him
bit
real quick, but I have this. He might be a whole thing.
Well, let's talk about him, like, because he is part of a larger, angrier nerd collective. Because there aren't a lot of like specific Star Wars people, right? I think the Critical Drinker.
There are too many, and they should all die.
Well, I mean, like, no.
Sorry, no. Let me make that less mean.
Yes,
I am glad that one day they will all die.
I think that it's okay to have podcasts about specific nerd fandoms.
Sure.
Because, hey, guess what we did?
Guess what? We made our bones doing it.
And also, like, there are good Star Wars ones out there. Like, I recommended to you, Tyler, A More Civilized Age, which is a good Star Wars podcast because they have a healthy relationship with media.
Yeah.
You know, they're fans, but also they acknowledge the things that are bad and the things that are stupid.
Yes.
And I think that's fun.
I mean, I'd even extend that to, and I know that this group is hated by, you know, the folks that we're talking about, that Star Wars Explained channel. Like, it's basically, they're just like, look, we're going to tell you about these things and the lore and
whatever. Is that the
whatever.
Death Star video we watched last night?
Maybe.
I don't. It's normally Alex. There's a guy and their logo is like yellow. I don't know, whatever. But it's mostly like they'll be like, it's not my favorite thing. Like they'll at least have that awareness to be like, you know what, it works for Star Wars or whatever. Like they're not like, there's a lot of other ones that are like the hardcore fans of anything with the brand on it that are just like, you know, and we've seen it recently in the, you know, the chatter about Andor. Of they're like, how dare you say that Ahsoka or Acolyte or whatever isn't as good as Andor? They're all amazing. Everything that has the brand Star Wars on it is
we're like, lucky to have this slop.
Right. It's like, you gotta at least, I mean, you know, and we've talked about the idea that it's like, look, I'm okay with saying like some of the shit that I enjoy is garbage. I'm okay with that. I loved Madam Web. It was
it was a lot of fun. It was so funny.
Year.
Craven's also not bad.
Like Nate is a huge Craven.
It's a bit more boring.
Honestly, yes. Like there was some good, like I was hooting and hollering during Craven the Hunter.
I don't think I'll ever forget when they're like, they go up to the rhino and they're like, Craven got away, and he just goes, ah, and then they cut. Beautiful, beautiful movie.
It's amazing.
But
that's the thing, because that's having a healthy relationship with the media you consume.
Right.
To be like,
and it's intentional.
I enjoyed it. Whatever.
Intentional consumption of media.
Well, which is criticism, right? A good critic understands why they like or they don't like a thing, and like debating and talking about it.
Yeah.
Right, which is what I hoped we did with Anamorphing Time.
Oh,
right,
yeah,
and which
I
is
think
what
so.
I hope what we're doing now, which is like, we don't like this thing. Why don't we like it? Right, or we like this thing. Why do we like it? You know, what aspects of it speak to us as people? What aspects of it really, you know, grates on us and kind of makes us feel weird? Jizz.
Jizzing? Sorry, jizz does not feel weird by any stretch of the word.
Okay, Dean, you seem to know more about Star Wars than us. When that it's true. No, you said lore words.
Yeah, you said Nemoidian.
So
you knew Bosk's name. Is someone at the door?
The bells are ringing.
No, that's my that's an alarm I have going off.
The bells. No, like when they play jizz, is it called jizzing? Is my question.
I believe so. The band that you see in the cantina on Tatooine is the Figrin, Don, and the Modal Nodes.
Okay, I'm asking the right person.
The Max Rebo band is the one you see.
Yeah, a new Max Rebo.
Is the Max Rebo one? Yeah, that's from the Jabba Palace thing. But I think it got changed to a different. Now it's called Jatz. Jatz. They changed it.
You know what? Actually,
but there's all kinds.
Don't change the past.
Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm driving through the neighborhood in Slave 1 blasting jizz.
Jets. No, it's jizz.
It's jizz.
Now
it's jizz.
I'm on the thing. I'm on Wikipedia now, and there's subgenres like jizz whale and glitz.
Yes, jizz whale.
Jizz whale rocks. George Lucas was cooking.
I think his team was cooking.
Yeah.
Let's be fair to the production crew. They did a lot of work.
Critical Drinker.
Okay, let's bring it back to
these freaks.
To the people that we don't like, because they don't do the things that I appreciate in good criticism, which is talk about why they do or don't like something. They always dance around it a little bit.
Or understand the deeper meaning of it.
Right. Like that.
Correct.
The Star Wars Theory guy, and a lot of his I don't like Ahsoka videos or whatever, his videos would just describe what happened on the screen, and that would be the end of the video. He wouldn't actually do theory.
Mm-hmm.
He would just kind of talk about things that he read or saw.
Right.
It's the Chris Farley bit of so when you Arnold Schwarzenegger, when you put on the makeup in Commando and you put on all the guns, that was cool, right? It's we're not asking questions, we're just making statements.
Yep.
The Critical Drinker tried to make the analysis a little bit more than Star Wars Theory guy, but he did it in the your shitty uncle at Christmas kind of a way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Dean, if you got that vibe from the Critical Drinker.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you've probably have seen in a lot of these, like Star Wars Theory doesn't do critiques where he edits something together. He just talks in front of the mic and and has whatever on the side. Critical Drinker does those explainer videos kind of thing about why he doesn't like something and intercuts a bunch of shit into it. And he and a lot of these, you clearly see the fingerprints of Red Letter Media, which really kicked off the idea of really exploring why some of this stuff is, not good. And I love Red Letter Media.
Yeah, I think we're all fans.
Enjoy their
we're
stuff.
fans.
Yeah. But, you have, as you said, a little kid following around somebody and not understanding what they're doing and just being I'm just going to ape that. You know what? I'm just going to take what I can from that and try to make it into something that references my specific cultural hangups. And for Critical Drinker, it's there's the words woke, Kathleen Kennedy, Disney, and that's the thing. And it's
I'm glad you stopped because you might be summoning someone. if you went down a list of words, somebody might be knocking at your door.
Right. Yeah. It's insane. How and I mean, not to kind of overthink it a little bit into having a focus in how you're trying to convey these messages. It's repetition. Just keep repeating the same shit, and then people don't have to think about it. They're just it's
because woke.
Yeah, because of
all
woke.
right. I
love to say because of woke at work, where coworkers will be like, man, what's going on with your patient's heart rate? I'm like, woke.
Right, but that's
why is their blood pressure low? Because of woke.
Right, and that's the joke, right? Is that like you don't have to actually explain anything. It's because woke.
You could say it with anything. Like, why does this food taste bad? Because of woke.
Because of woke. Because they don't really do the analysis of what part of wokeness they don't like.
That video, the Critical Drinker video you showed us about why women characters are bad, he never really said why women are bad. He sort of danced around the critique that movies are badly written, and that's maybe not the women's fault.
Right, because like I don't agree, I don't disagree with him when he says, like
Captain Marvel is underwritten.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Captain Marvel, so I wasn't gonna go.
I liked it. It's okay.
I mean, sure, but like if he was like, oh yeah, I didn't like Rey from the new Star Wars because she's she's a Mary Sue. It was like, well, okay, I don't like her because she's underwritten. I don't like her because they didn't develop her character into something that was meaningful. But like, I agree that those movies are bad,
right?
And that's how those like grifters get you, is that they say a true thing.
Mm-hmm.
New Star Wars is bad.
Yes,
true.
Agreed.
Right. And they say why they're bad because like they're underwritten, and all I care about is characters. Like I care about characters.
Characters are welcome here.
That's right. Give me Monk. But then they go to their nastier point, which is because women.
Because femininity needs to be protected, and when you erase femininity, you're an evil monster. But it's like you're just trying to keep women in the feminine box that they've always been in and never grow or change.
Right. Or it's like, oh, because there was a gay kiss and they were shoehorning that in. It's like it wasn't the gay kiss that made this bad. Right. It's that they didn't follow up on the gay kiss, actually.
Right.
If there was the Star Wars movie of that romance, then that might be good. Right? But like, they're not going to do that.
Let's do the homophilic slug cut of Star Wars where they just make him smile instead of...
Okay, Star Wars pitch.
Okay.
The next movie should be about that slug. The homophobic slug, what his day-to-day life is, what he does at work, how he's getting prosecuted. It's like Falling Down.
Oh my God. A Star Wars Falling Down featuring the homophobic slug.
I'm all over it.
A jizz ticket used to be 50 credits. Now they're 200 credits. You go into Dexter's diner, and it's all black people. Like, Falling Down was not a good movie. The commercial, it's all Rhodians, but when you get here, it's Nemoidians.
Now, for those that are like Star Wars hardcore nerds that are wondering what homophobic slug they're talking about, it's Klaud. Klaud, the Trototome male mechanic who worked during the war between the First Order and the Resistance.
Dean, you can't be doing this. You can't be just pulling up the name of the slug.
I'll never forget his name is Klaud.
But I mean,
so the but and see that's kind of the trick, because with Drinker specifically, his thing is he does have like an awareness of the mechanics within a movie, like that might involve good writing or good character development. But I think there is a real, and this is really true of all of them, this idea of like, look, I need to make money off of this fucking job. Like, I need to make money off this channel.
I don't know. I think they're like,
but because
sorry, go ahead.
Because if you dig into any of them, like go through more and more of their shit, which good luck, it like mental health side of it. Like they'll point out like, okay, Ripley from Alien and Aliens is a good character. And he'll be like, look, because she's well written, you see her develop her skills, and it's like, well, yeah, that's nearly impossible to argue. And then, but yeah, like a character will show up in a new Star Wars or new Marvel movie, and they won't get into like, okay, she's underwritten, and it's just like, no, it's woke, black lady on screen, woke, hit the woke button, everybody. And and that's the thing. It's a default, and it gets like the hogs coming to the trough to watch their videos, because they're not thinking about it. They're not watching these things. They're just like, yes, I agree. Woke is ruining my life. It took my job and moved it to the Nemoidians overseas, and now I can't work at my factory
woke
anymore.
Killed my father and fucked my mother.
Exactly.
The bells are ringing.
The bells are ringing.
Like this.
Yeah,
So Critical
yeah.
Drinker, Star Wars Theory, they all do this thing, which I've noticed. It's a feature of toxic masculinity where they sort of back themselves into, oh, I'm the devil's advocate. I'm like, I don't care about anything. I'm the edgelord.
Or a persecution
I'll
complex,
say what
right?
others won't because I'm brave and strong and I'm smart. Like, there's a reason Critical Drinker ends all of his videos by saying, go away now. Because he's like playing that character where he's like too cool and you need to leave him alone.
I'm tired.
Yeah,
Your presence
he's,
tires me.
Yeah, and I hate having to explain this to you as the authority on the subject. The authority on the subject.
But like,
sorry, I'm doing George Lucas style racism.
Listen, you can be racist against Scotsmen. That's fine.
Critical Drinker.
You know, the Scots and Italians, like you can be a little racist to them. It's okay.
Not the Irish.
Not the Irish.
No.
Sinners actually taught us that.
Yeah.
You know,
You come out of Sinners being like, wow, Irish people are cool. Jesus Christ, Nate.
I'm saying, you know, he was a cool vampire.
he was fucking sick. The best vampires are Irish. It's between Sinners and Preacher.
Yeah. Wasn't Interview with a Vampire? Wasn't he an Irish guy?
Tom Cruise? I don't remember.
Do you know that the original vampire was actually based off an Irish story? Bram Stoker was Irish.
That's true.
Yeah. Now you know that.
Now I don't think Lestat.
Yeah, I think it's French.
Okay, fine. But like, the French people are real vampires.
He's Gormian.
Yeah. Okay, but I want to go back from vampires. Everyone watch Sinners.
Yeah, Sinners is good.
It is.
Sinners
is this idea that they're only doing it for the money? I think that they are definitely happy to get the money.
Yeah.
I think they like the money and they do tweak their content for money. But I think at their core, like they are true believers, both in Star Wars and in fascism. Right? I think that they really do believe the things they're saying. Right?
Well, it's odd because like everyone, both Star Wars Theory and Critical Drinker, and I think a few of these other ones, like they have their projects that they're working on. Like Drinker wrote a movie, and I know Theory's done a movie, and everything is like
if they're out
look
there.
if you want to see what is the right way to do a movie, whether it be Star Wars, I think Drinker's is like a spy drama thing.
Excellent.
If you want to see the right way to do it, then give me money, and and I'll produce my fan movie, and how Disney doesn't sue the shit out of Star Wars Theory. I have no fucking idea. Like somebody is like, if they're not getting paid, they are sitting at the wheel, and somebody needs to go to jail.
Well, like it sounds like they're falling into the classic critics trap, which is, since I am critical of this material, I can do it better.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that
they're doing Valley of the Dolls.
Right, I was about to bring up Roger Ebert. Right, where like
I gotta watch that tonight.
You should.
No, tonight I have to finish Andor, but I'll watch Valley of the Dolls.
Where it's like this idea of just because it's easier to point out the flaws in something than it is to actually try and make something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives them this inflated concept of what it means to make art,
right?
And yeah, I'm including Star Wars. Listen, I'm not getting the definition of art. It's whatever you want it to be.
Jizzing is an art.
Yes, right. It's an artful experience. The elephant guy in the back playing the piano, he's an artist. And
that's Max Rebo.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's.
Thank you, Dean. Please, honestly though, correct me anytime.
Corrections welcome.
Right. Well, which is like, if you're an advanced critic, if you're a thoughtful critic, if you're good at your job, that that's not true. That you can't, even though you can point out its flaws and point out things that you think they should do, that doesn't mean that you're right. Right. This is just your opinion, just the way that you see this thing. And also that like you're not better than them.
Yeah.
Right. You have to kill that ego, and they can't because they have fallen down the right pipeline, right?
Yeah.
They've fallen into
they've got enough people telling them they're right or agreeing with them that they think they're right.
Right.
It's Worthington's Law.
Well, and it's also like this whole idea of fascism that you can't be self-critical, right? The past is perfect. You are perfect.
Right.
and everyone else is wrong.
No, like as I was telling you, like I had a lot of like worry about putting an original piece of writing out on the internet because of criticism. Because I was like, well, I'm not saying anything new or doing anything new. Why do anything ever anyway? Like, might as well just kill yourself. Like, everybody's done everything better than you already. But it was the process of making a thing felt good. Like, I made it to make the thing. Like, that's why you make what you make. Why we make what we make.
Yes,
and they don't do that.
Well, they wrote a script.
Well,
sure.
Well, I'm looking now. So, Critical Drinker's real name is Will Jordan, and he wrote the Ryan Drake series of action thrillers. So he has their books, and I think he's trying to get he's like a Kickstarter or whatever.
Drake means dragon,
not a literal dragon.
Not a literal.
I mean, but it is that almost boomer mentality of like, look, we got to get back to the way things were great in the past. Great for me, a white man.
Yeah.
You know, middle-aged, like that's.
We need to just start
the
return to me.
Yep. Yeah. So
and it's cool that he wrote a thing. I'm not going to make fun of. Like, I'm glad he's writing, right? But like,
I don't think Star Wars Theory could do it.
Well, and there's that, but also like,
no,
I'm not going to celebrate him too hard because like, why did you write something? Was it to make money? Was it self-expression? I can almost guarantee he wasn't doing a form of pure self-expression because of the fun of it. I think he was wanting to like sell a thing or become someone.
Yeah.
He wanted to prove that he was better, so he wrote a book series. You know, which almost guarantees it's going to be dog shit.
Yes.
I have not read it.
We should read them and do episodes on Ryan Drake.
I don't want to do that because it's going to be bad.
Put down your pronouns.
It's going to be it's going to be, the tropes. It's going to be, an awesome, probably divorced guy who's also a spy and really good at stuff, but is struggling with, I don't know, the loss of his daughter. I don't know. So, that sort of bullshit where it's like, yeah, I mean, they've been making those movies since 1972. It's like, you're not going to really.
I can put a cap.
Because that's what they want to go back to.
I can put a cap on all of this. We've made a fine sandwich, right? Because you're right. He is almost guaranteed to be a divorced guy. I can guarantee. Here's the thing about all these people is that they're bad in relationships. I think.
Yeah, probably.
Well, because like they don't see them as partnerships. They see them as like very
transactional. I would
traditional. Whatever you want to call it, right? Much like the beginning of Kanye, right? Like we've made this like nice sandwich of
Kanye sandwich.
Where like, and here's this new rule. New rule from Nate is that if you get divorced, you have to go to the island.
The prisoner island?
The prisoner island. You have to go to the prisoner island. Right? Because like for men only.
Men only.
Right.
Okay, I'm in.
Right? Because like
getting divorced,
I'm
go
in,
fuck men
I'm in.
the prisoner island.
The stakes should be higher for men, I think.
Yeah. We got to start killing men.
I'm divorced, and I'm totally okay with that. That makes sense.
Like Dean, you'll be a hero. Just think about all the other men that you bring to that island. You know?
They're gonna kill Dean for being woke on Man Island.
I'm just saying that, like, it'll be the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Leonard Nimoy. He said that.
Well, actually, that was William Shatner who said that. Because, no, you're right. I'm sorry. Corrected. Because Shatner did the flip of that in Star Trek 3, didn't he? He did the flip where he's like the needs of the one.
No, I'm pretty sure that was in Star Wars. Because I think that was that was in Star Wars. Listen,
it doesn't. None of it matters. Like,
no, it was a joke. It was an obvious joke. Star Trek people hate Star Wars.
You need to tell me when you're doing jokes. I struggle with that.
Here on Hate Speech, we like to do this thing called the Spectrum of Hate. It's my belief, and Tyler pretends that he plays along with it, that everything can be judged on a spectrum. Unlike the critical drinker, I am the arbiter of all things that are good and bad.
Keeper of the spectrum.
Keeper of the spectrum. It is infallible. Whichever one I said first, that's the correct one. On the very top of the list, the tippy top, our favorite boy, a 1.
LeVar Burton.
LeVar Burton.
You couldn't remember who the nice guy was?
LeVar Burton. Sweetie Pie.
Well, Kanye hasn't written a song about him
Yeah,
yet.
like they don't have jizz in the Star Trek universe.
Jordy would disagree.
So that's, like they got to get on that. But that's okay.
They're fucking steam cleaning that holodeck when he's done.
LeVar Burton, he's good at jizzing.
Especially when Riker plays.
No, he bones. Riker bones.
Riker plays trombone. Riker plays trombone, baby. Bone it
Bones.
up.
You know who doesn't play the trombone, though?
Bones from Star Trek.
Is a 1 Adolf Hitler.
Bones.
Oh, yeah. The other side of the spectrum of hate. The evil guy we all hate.
Adolf Hitler. He has a new song coming out from Kanye.
He's dropping a
I
track.
shouldn't start playing the song right now.
Probably not.
No.
But that he's at the bottom of the list to
No.
clarify.
Yeah.
So on this spectrum, I'm gonna go and share the screen with Dean here. Dean, where do you think, in general,
I feel like
the what are we even titling this subsect? Like Star Wars
toxic
fanboys
or toxic Star Wars fanboys.
We'll say toxic Star Wars YouTubers. I think YouTube specifically.
No, I mean, we could do that, but the original term for these guys was fanboys.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Did we cover fanboys? Did we really cover the fanboys? Or did we cover Star Wars fanboys? I think we covered Star Wars fanboys.
I think we covered Star Wars fanboys,
Yeah.
we have a bigger task ahead of us.
Yeah.
So Star Wars fanboys, boy.
Well, it's funny because I see so many crossovers here, like Disney adults, Dark Empath. Like so many of these things could fall under Star Wars fanboys.
Mr.
B. See,
have they caused anyone to die directly or indirectly? I think that's always been a good place to start.
I'd say not yet, but it's that creeping shadow of
I think
fascism and right.
Do you think they're right there? I think they're worse. I think they're right around the Costco guys area.
Okay. I think that there is yes. I feel the same way listening to Star Wars Theory. I feel the same way when I go into a Buffalo Wild Wings. Like when I went into that Buffalo Wild Wings for that episode, I felt the same way. I got the same kind of nausea feeling in my gut.
I think they're worse than Bug Hall.
Really?
It's the trans clone trooper video for me where he's like, look, I don't care. It doesn't matter, but keep them away from me.
Much like how Andor is a way to launder left-wing politics into Star Wars, they are a way to launder right-wing politics via Star Wars.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see that argument. Yeah. Okay, how about they're not worse than child actors, but they may be worse than true crime.
I don't think they're as bad as true crime.
I think they might be worse than origin stories.
I think they're worse than origin. Dean, where do you land on this between origin stories and true crime?
Yeah, I mean, I would say culturally, I'm surprised Jon Stewart's not higher. Actually. But I'd say between origin stories and true crime feels about right, and specifically, it's one. Origin stories, that's basically what I've been watching now since the prequels,
over and over again.
Even Andor's an origin story. Yeah. But true crime does create a distance from, kind of the entertainment of murder. It entertainizes murder, if that's a word.
At the end goal of true crime, it's you have to keep getting people murdered to keep making true crimes.
Well, I don't think they're going out doing murders.
No, but I'm saying to do new true crime, people need to keep getting it's a system that directly profits off the murder and rape of other people.
Yeah, so yes, it's a very Disney kind of thing.
If child actors hadn't harmed so many people, in reality, I'd put them right on par with Adam Carolla, only because it's that toxic masculinity kind of that feeding of that environment, that creation.
Nate's making a good point.
Yeah,
maybe we do anchor it around the Gamergate, because a lot of these arguments are around Gamergate.
Yeah,
and I think that.
I think it's a little worse than Gamergate too, because Gamergate will eventually go away. Star Wars is continuing laundering this thing over and over again, and has been for a while.
Yeah, but
that's a good point.
Star Wars fanboys, I don't think they know what they're doing, and so it's not a concern.
That's worse.
Yeah, but like I think they accidentally step their toes in it, whereas like Gamergate people specifically are like, we are targeting a specific audience to be eradicated. Like, oh, okay.
All right. Well, I would be comfortable.
I would put it above transphobia in sports. It's not worse than that because I think that it might cause that.
Yeah, there's real people getting hurt.
Might cause that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see an argument for that. What do you think, Dean?
Yeah, that tracks for me too. I mean, in the the spillover from these these people like Drinker and StarWarsTheory is also like how many people that are trying to do it, and a lot of the times they don't have the reach, but some of them are much more overt about just being straight up like they hate you, they want to kill you, they hate and about fucking Marvel movies, which is insane to me.
See, like I think that those those are like a specific group of just like angry nerds, but like these are Star Wars nerds, and I think that they're a bit more reserved because of that. Because like,
which makes the message more pernicious.
I think because like if it gets broadened out to general nerdom, it casts a wider net, and I think it catches more people. Yeah. Whereas like Star Wars, like you got to be a big Star Wars fan to even go near these guys.
I mean, sure, but this week a coworker asked me if I like Star Wars because we were giving away a Disney basket at work, and I had some Star Wars shit in it, and I had to pause and be like, I said I used to, and she's like, oh, okay. I'm like,
yeah. So I mean, but like,
it's a thing that I mean we'll see. Like I'm looking up and down the list, how much stuff is just an overlap of like a resistance to releasing your childhood, and like the Costco guys. You guys talked about him, the dad, and that he's like a failed wrestler and all this stuff. He just wants that fame so much because that's what his childhood dream. Mr. Beast, like all of these, so many of these people are just this Arrested Development that they just can't let go. And as far as its pervasiveness into society, I'd say Star Wars being like the biggest IP in the world puts it between being fat in society and transphobia in sports.
It's a perfect list. Don't question the list.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're fine.
So it's a perfect list. And so congratulations to our new 33
Star Wars fanboys. Can we call it that?
Star Wars fanboys. We'll spell it with an I to be cool.
They're not cool.
They're not cool. That's right.
We shouldn't give them cool.
Maybe with a Z.
Yes.
Yeah, like biker boys.
No, they're not like biker boys. Biker boys is cool.
Cars suck.
Cars suck. Dean, have you seen Biker Boys?
Biker Boys is so funny.
I have not.
It whips.
If you want to have a good time watching a motorcycle movie that's directly against the Fast and the Furious, it's like trying to say it sucks because motorcycles are cooler.
Yeah, at one point the CG motorcycle speeds by a sign, and the sign does a twirl, and it twirls around and says, "Cars suck."
Do you know what we call bikers in the ER? Organ donors. I don't care how good you think you are.
You seen me race the other day?
Yeah, I think you're crazy.
Well, I think some people like crazy.
Biker boys, we set our own rules.
Is it part of the Wild Hogs cinematic universe?
We're putting together a team. John Travolta walks in at the end of Biker Boys, like
the WHU.
Good God, Dean, tell the people where they can find you if you want them to find you.
I mean, I'm at Tier 1 Diabetic on pretty much everything. Blue Sky and Twitter. I mostly stick to Twitter because that's where the most crazy people are, and it's fun to laugh at them and make fun of them. That's pretty much it. I was trying to think of like anything, a cause I could support. I don't know, vote or read a book. Just engage in cinema, expand your horizons.
Can I pitch something? How about you pirate Andor? As a nice little BDS kind of stinger, right? This is the way you do it. You pirate Andor.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I like stealing. Yeah.
Dean, you sound less
amazed. I'm appreciative that there's like very vocal Zionists that are pissed off about the most recent episodes.
I can't wait for you to get to the anti-Israel episodes. They're so good.
Okay, I'll do a prediction because I haven't seen it, so this may or may not be true. A young child throws a rock and gets gunned down horrifically.
No, it's worse.
Cool.
Well, maybe not worse.
Okay, well,
but it's not that.
I'm glad it doesn't have any real life corollaries to current events.
There's a ton.
Yeah,
actually, that's one thing that a lot of people are like calling out the specific historical precedents that, because it's not just like Gaza. It's also like, a massacre that happened in Mexico and another thing that happened in France and all of these real and which is, I think, the strength of Andor. It's like it's taking, that Star Wars glaze and putting it onto like, hey, here's some history, nerds. Like this is stuff that happened not only in a galaxy far, far away, but also on this
You've
fucking
had your
planet.
dessert, you fucking chuds. Now it's time for some fucking salad.
Time for some jizz.
Yeah, let's go jizz. Let's go experience some jizz.
Get some historical, thoughtful jizz. A prescient jizz that we can all learn lessons from. A jizz for the people.
Ho 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 ho! Ibonga Chewbacca.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
I did bring up a list of all the Star Wars swear words. If you guys want to hear
got on
them.
the list. Here we go.
So cark or carking is the F word.
Wow.
Apparently, that's fuck. Sith spit is I guess also like fuck. Bantha poodoo. We know that one.
We know poodoo.
Echuta.
That
which is
I
a
know that.
We know Echuta
From KOTOR. That's what they say all the time.
Echuta.
Echuta. What's it mean?
Echuta is it's like, I guess, like damn. Like looking at it, it's just a passive curse.
Do they have
unfortunately,
Utani?
Criff,
the Jawa thing.
What?
Utani?
Utini.
What does that mean?
I'm looking now. Utini is, oh my god, that is just a slur. Wow, it's just the N word.
Cool.
Yeah, when they speed by the Jawas yell Utini.
Yeah, but like, here's the thing: they can say about Kanye, like he can't say that anymore.
How am I acting like Hitler when I'm a Utini?
No, Kanye, you can't say that anymore. I'm sorry.
Oh, Kanye.
I mean, you have stuff like Dwang and Lurdo. It's just bullshit. Like, well, it's a thing where it's like I'm trying to find one that like means like cunt or something like that, but I can't.
I don't
find
think that.
one.
Yeah, considering that like Sith spits in there, I don't think we're gonna find any hard ones.
She milked my Leku.
But yeah.
Ugh. Ugh.
Crank, fetting, fetch, feech, scug. Like all these sound like just various versions of cum or jacking off, which I mean fits for the brand. I mean, but yeah, go crink yourself. There you go.
I'm gonna go cark. I'm gonna cark.